Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto Naruto Next Generation discussion on the fallout from Boruto chapter 78. And today I wanted to talk to you guys about the next betrayal that's going to be coming to the Boruto manga after the wild roller coasters that have been the last two Boruto manga chapters. We've seen a lot take place in terms of unexpected events. Kawaki went from looking like he was going to demand all the smoke from Momoshiki once he figured out that Boruto and Momoshiki were connected, to going over to Naruto's house, looking Naruto in the face, right in the eye, tell him to sit down at the table, look crazy at Naruto's wife after she slapped Kawaki, and then say, I'm gonna kill your son before I start killing all the other Otsutsuki, but in order to make sure that you don't get in my way, I'm gonna seal you away right now, so Hinata, you don't have to worry about making Naruto any home-cooked meal right now. It's not like the man has ever been home enough to actually appreciate your cooking. Then Kawaki proceeded to try and kill Boruto for a second time, tried to kill Sarada for interfering, and ended up having Boruto's scar over his eye when Boruto tried to protect Sarada from Kawaki's attack, and now Kawaki is in his most dangerous state. He's being hunted down by Konoha. He's had Sasuke say he's gonna kill him if he resists, and Mitsuki looked every bit as bloodlusted when he quietly agreed with Boruto that the person responsible for the scar of his eye wasn't Sarada, but rather it was Kawaki, which we all know is gonna lead to that big battle that Boruto saw in the future. However, given how many plot twists and turns that we've had in the last two chapters, it's only right that we expect for there to be more betrayals in the chapters coming up ahead, as Boruto Part 1 is clearly rushing towards what feels like a climax that's going to be good enough to wrap up the story of what we were told was the story of father and son for Boruto Part 1, and fully transition us over to Part 2 of Boruto's story, where the story solely becomes Boruto Uzumaki's story, and it's likely his quest to try and save Kawaki from himself and rescue Boruto's parents from that dimension that they're trapped inside of, and likely solve the issue of Momoshiki being attached to Boruto's soul. However, what betrayal is coming next can even hope to surpass or even rival the betrayal that came from Kawaki stealing Naruto, the man who took Kawaki into his home and literally adopted him as a second son, and even gave up the power of being a Jinchuriki in order to save Kawaki from Ishiki. Well, here's the thing, there's not going to be any one betrayal that Kawaki can do in order to surpass what he's inflicted on us as readers and in universe to Boruto, but rather it's going to be a series of betrayals. I believe we're in the process of there being an absolute clean break from Konoha, with Kawaki being the crack that creates the ravine that separates Konoha from everything related to the advanced ninja tech that Kawaki represents. I think the first way that this starts to play out is we continue to see the break from Kawaki and all the bonds that he's established in Konoha since getting there. In the manga, we've seen Kawaki early on during his time in Konoha bonding with Shikadai and Inojin when they were playing that card game with Boruto, with Sarada and Chocho watching over. We've seen Kawaki be pulled to the side by Shikadai to try calming him down and reassure him when Kawaki realized there are people in Konoha who are looking at him funny, without Shikadai even knowing anything about Jigen's words to Kawaki that he will always be considered an outsider to the people of Konoha no matter what the Hokage tells Kawaki. Shikadai cared enough for Kawaki to take the time out of his day to reassure him and ease his consciousness. In the manga, we've only had snapshots of the time with Boruto and his generation in Kawaki, but when we look at how Boruto has been structured purposely, where the anime adds other layers to the story, we have even more room for bonds that have been built with Kawaki and the others. I think that's where we're going to start seeing a bit of a twist in what we're getting. I constantly referred throughout 2021 and 2022 to all the Boruto chapters basically being the Search of Tsunade type of an arc, where the manga slows down and the amount of material that we get for the manga is going to be paced to a point where it'd be roughly 12 to 20 episodes in the anime depending on how they stretch it, which, judging by the pace of the anime, 12 episodes likely seems like that's going to be the case. However, just as that arc set up the Akatsuki and transition us to the Sasuke Retrieval arc, I think we can safely assume that we're getting Boruto's version of the Sasuke Retrieval arc with Kawaki, but this time the reason for the chase is going to be different, which means that the clashes that we see and the betrayals that we see are going to be different as well. In the Sasuke Retrieval arc, we saw the members of the Konoha 11 that were on that mission clash with the members of the Sound 5 and barely survived their encounters, and accumulated in Naruto failing to stop Sasuke. But that arc served as the arc where children were forced to truly grow up and face the complexities of the ninja world, and it changed them. After Sasuke left and during the 3 months afterwards until Naruto left to train with Jiraiya, the members of that generation were hard at work training, and it came as a result of one of their own falling into the darkness and their own weakness and being unable to save him. I think we're about to see something similar, only it's going to be Kawaki continuing to break those bonds down. We've already seen the ties with the older generation starting to be cut off, with Naruto and Hinata being sealed away, then having Shikamaru and Sasuke, who didn't have his Sharingan cut on by the way, confront Kawaki, and now we're going to have the Chunin and the Jonin from the older generation in search of Kawaki, and likely a decent number of them are going to be bodied off screen. Just as the Sound Force struggled to take out the exhausted special Jonin who are weaker than normal Jonin that were on Shizune's team. Then we're going to see the band-aid ripped off even further with Team 10 confronting Kawaki, and Kawaki turns his nose up at the notion that friends don't do this to other friends, because in Kawaki's mind he's done the right thing by them by trying to take out Boruto, because Boruto is a risk to them without them even knowing about it. We then move towards Sarada and Mitsuki confronting Kawaki and failing in that battle because it's needed for their character growth. They both were pissed off at the idea of Code killing Boruto and Boruto being brought back to life by karma, that Mitsuki openly said that he couldn't control his bloodlust if he ever saw who was responsible for it, and Sarada vowed to get stronger in response. They've seen firsthand that Kawaki has changed now. Sarada's efforts to try and talk him down and de-escalate the situation, they were all in vain. Now it's time for them to fall in battle against Kawaki as well. Those losses will ultimately be what takes this next generation and forces them to grow stronger, because they'll know not only do they fail to measure up to Kawaki, but they couldn't even stop Kawaki when he was low on chakra, making it clear that the gap between them is even larger than they expected. However, where things get even further crazy is with the twist is I think there's an extremely strong chance that Ada grabs her brother Damon and they chase after Kawaki, because she has no loyalty to the village. Ever since she first arrived in Konoha, she's passively aggressively pushed her will upon those in the village. Shikamaru tried to take control of the situation by having her escorted to the horny house in hopes that Kawaki could seduce her, but Ada reminded him of exactly who was in charge by not only disobeying his orders to be escorted, but literally showing him that she can't be contained or controlled by revealing she has the power to fly, which in turn showed Shikamaru that any planning he made was absolutely pointless, because whereas Ada knew pretty much everything that wasn't discussed via the Yamanaka clan's hidden jutsu that connects people's minds, Shikamaru at the end of the day doesn't know everything about Ada and is flying in the dark. The only leverage that Konoha had with her was Kawaki. If Kawaki's in danger, her best interests are to go in a Kawaki, not Konoha, which explains why everyone is in a panic trying to find Kawaki, especially if he's too low on chakra to start spamming Sukuna Hikona to try hiding himself for long periods of time while he leaves the land of fire. Ada and Damon are his ticket out of there because they can fly, and the idea of them swooping in to give him a lift, it isn't the craziest thing, and Ada would be of use to Kawaki when it comes to hunting down other Otsutsuki, because Ada can see into other dimensions, including those controlled by the Otsutsuki. That's going to be the final band-aid that's ripped off when this occurs. Not only does Kawaki leave with Konoha's Hokage and First Lady, but he also leaves with their best option, because they really have no other option to track down Code, and it leaves Konoha more vulnerable than ever before, because they have to deal with a two-front assault. Kawaki coming back for Boruto and Code coming with this army of over 1,000 claw grimes that are meant to destroy the village itself. Kawaki, in short, has left Konoha defenseless and running blind when it's all said and done, which makes it even more of a betrayal, because the very village that took him in when he was running away from Kar, running away from Jigen, running away from his destiny as Ishiki's vessel, the very same village that gave him a home when he needed it the most when he was homeless, he's left the village in its most vulnerable state to be destroyed than it's ever been in the last 20 years of existence. Because over the last 20 years, there was a Hokage in the village, and there was always Naruto Uzumaki to protect it. While Naruto being sealed away is the single biggest betrayal, I think when you factor in everything I just laid out in this video, those things as a collective, while they might not match Naruto's betrayal, they come close, or some of you guys might even say due to the security vulnerabilities that Kawaki's left Konoha with, where he's now forced a ninja village that have for the longest time been able to rely on Naruto's power and be able to rely on that anchor and security blanket that Naruto provided. Kawaki has now taken that away, directly by sealing him away and indirectly by being the reason that Naruto lost the power of the Nine Tails to begin with, because Naruto essentially sacrificed that power in order to keep Ishiki Otsutsuki away from him, and Naruto was having to use Baryon mode in order to do so. When we look at the downfall of Kawaki, it's also by extension the downfall of Konoha. It might actually be worse than Naruto being being sealed away. That's actually going to be my question to you guys. Which betrayal is worse in your opinion? While you think that over, click here to watch this Naruto Explain video.